So, of course, folks, if you want to check out the action at the Bravo stream, you could do so. You saw the info there. I believe it's twitch.tv/HCS. If you want to watch all of the action during that Na'Vi Cloud9 game. Looks like a pretty solid one. But this is going to be the series layout that we're keeping our eyes on here for Native Red and FaZe. You got Live Fire, King of the Hill, Street, Slayer, Recharge, Strongholds, and then if necessary, Aquarius, ETF, and then Live Fire, Slayer to close it all out. The first round of matches here in pool play. And as we had mentioned before, if there's an opportunity to kind of refocus the conversation here, if there's an opportunity for Native Red to really put their stamp on this series, they got to do it in game one. And it's going to be so hard. But if they're able to pull that off, Dave, that would be massive for them.
Yeah, unlike the previous match that we casted, where it was around like Cloud9 versus Space Station, where I was saying you can't really find this pace of game that's gonna have Cloud9 play significantly better than Space Station gaming. I feel quite the opposite here. I do feel that if this game gets fast enough, Native Red are going to be much more comfortable in that compared to FaZe. FaZe, they're such a well-structured team. Yes, they are going to be able to hang with the best of the best when it comes to individual shots and fighting out situations. But I do feel throughout all of Halo Infinite, when we've looked at all these players, they have thrived in those fast, chaotic situations.
Indeed they have. Indeed they have. Now, some history here as well, just to keep in mind. Last time these two teams met against one another, it was over in SLC. It was a 3-0. FaZe were hitting those shots, but I think there's a lot to be said about where Native Red are going to be coming from with Suppress and starting to evolve and grow as a team. We've seen what this squad is capable of doing. This is the next generation of professional Halo here on the stage, going up against, you know, the current generation, if you will, right? Like, you know, the guys who have been doing it since, you know, some of them back in the MLG days, right? So there really is a lot of history here and a lot of potential for Native Red, so they can't let the moment escape them here. They need to just give everything that they have against FaZe. Don't give them any quarter, because FaZe Clan aren't going to give you any quarter. We're jumping into the action here, of course, King of the Hill. First to 4 captures. Keep your eyes out on the power items, you know, items like the overshield. Who's going to be controlling that? It's also going to dictate who's controlling the pace of this game as we get ready for the action, Dave.
Yeah, we're going to see how it breaks down. Generally what happens, one team's grabbing the hill and the other team is focused on that sniper in that first OS. What is it? And it looks like both teams all opting to focus on the hillside. No player going for snipe right off the bat, and just a battle back and forth towards green.
Yeah, an overemphasis on being able to get control, but it is going to be Native Red with the sniper grab. Taulek up top. Can he do anything with it, as FaZe are going to have that hill time here? And Taulek's getting pressured. Beautifully done there as well. Taulek completely left alone, unsure of where the spawns are going to be coming from. Figured he can get a better position, but FaZe had him read like a book.
Yeah, and that OS is going to use to counter this snipe. It looks like sniper back in the hands of Native Red, in the hands of Suppress. Shroud going down, just going to shoot on through there. Does not want to go out and trade melee or damage. What a sneaky little spot. And oh my God, sneaks around. Renegade and crew takes out that OS. That was devastating.
That was nuts. What a good use of the Shroud screen there to back away from the fight.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those situations where Suppress a moment probably just ran in, trailed the melee, but as these top players are always going to look to extend their advantage as much as possible. They don't want to trade out a quarter or third of their overshield if they don't need to and go in for melee. Instead, they want to finish that shot with a long-range VR. Somehow just getting slipped by from the player in the Shroud. I believe that was SnakeBite. And paying the ultimate price.
What an incredible play there. And that sequence of events kind of gave tower control for FaZe, right? It allowed FaZe to be able to just continue to hold on to this hill, really just uncontested for the most part. And that is going to be the first point on the board for FaZe Clan. The pressure's starting to come in, though, from the blue team. Native Red doing a brilliant job of clearing them out, and now they can focus on the overshield.
And that was interesting how Native Red all opted to stay over at green to finish off those last couple kills instead of rotating and getting new position at the new hill. We're going to have to see if this comes back to bite them, because you see all these members at FaZe spawning back tower. They have the height advantage, but they don't have the additional angles on the side.
No, they do not, but what they do have is Suppressed with an overshield. He was able to get control of this one, and now he's just going to go on the prowl. So just wise enough I think he was really intending to just try and hit that slide on the steps, but that's okay though, because he repositions down low and gets his body back inside with all that overshield charge. He just needs his teammates now to come up here and help him out. Taulek able to get one kill, 2 players down to the mud and pillars, and look at the amount of work the Suppress is doing, just pulling so much attention his way, leading to 3 down for FaZe.
But somehow Royal 2 still stayed alive at top tower. He did that whole ring around the rosy scenario away from the overshield player and stayed alive. So during that time where Native Red had control over at tower side, they got what, 15% of the hill? That's not significant.
That's true. That is very true. And when you think about the amount that was being done there, to see that total is a little disheartening though. Taulek trying to protect the corner with the heat wave. His pressure's gonna come through.
Later.
And he hits it with the repulse. Goodbye, Renegade. We'll see you next time, buddy. Good try though, good try. And now blue team though right back onto the hill with control, and with the way that they're playing, they're just in their face.
Yes, in their face, but also look at how far away Frosty is comfortable playing.
Yeah.
He realized that either he reaches a one-on-one engagement all the way in garage, or he has the ultimate flank. But during that exchange, even though Frosty did so much work, all the members of FaZe went down. He had 3 down. I believe Royal 2 is the only one alive. Looks like he's going to reposition and away. And this hill is playing at an odd pace here over on C-Plat.
Yeah, there's been no comfort, no control. Everyone's been really trying to put the pressure in the back tower. It feels like there's so much work to be done. All the other areas of the hill, outside of the hill, that's the reason why you haven't really been able to see much in the way of control, though. Suppress is going to be stuck between a rock and a hard place, and the hard place is going to get him. The grenade is going to land, and then that is going to lead to Royal 2 now. Knowing that that overshield is going to be up for grabs here, he burns out that ammo, and that's another OS grab for Native Red. Could end up being successful for them here, because the last OS saw Suppress doing so much work with it, it just wasn't leading to those points. Let's see if they can do it this time.
Yeah, you're right. He was getting control of the tower area, but was not leading to the points. The other thing that was really impressive there during that last exchange was Royal 2 over at the nest. Seems quite obvious, banking that grenade off the back, but just knowing the certain situations where you can throw a grenade and guarantee kill or flush a player out of a location. Royal 2 knowing perfectly you can flush that player out of nest.
I actually really did like that push from Royal 2 there that we saw briefly. He was coming in from the tower side, did the sneaky jump up top from the low side to hill, and then was able to actually apply pressure on the player by the box. That actually opened things up for FaZe now to get control of the hill and just hold this one down, and they're making good progress. But one clear, Native Red gets a point.
Wow, and what a push back and forth from Frosty and Royal 2. One thing that's incredibly impressive is they pushed on over towards Kedor to try and clear out those players. But once they reached that distance and didn't see anybody there, they reverted back and came back to help over at C-Plat. A lot of times teams, they know how to step on the gas and say, we're going, but they don't know when to say stop if they're not meeting the resistance or the fight they want.
Yeah, a few teams are able to do so, and that's why you know, the difference, right? Like we were talking about it before in the SSGC 9 matchup about how there really is just these slim margins between these teams, and that's it, right? It's that the understanding of, hey, am I pressing my advantages a little too much, or can I actually go a little further, or should I dial it back? It's a lot of those questions that these players are going to have to be asking themselves here. As Native Red, they're going to have time to do so because they had 4 players down for a brief moment there, and Renegade and company just continuing to add the hurt to Native Red and giving them no options to be able to try and get back into this one. And if FaZe are able to secure this overshield, which seems like they are, this is going to be real bad for the rest of Native Red.
That is dangerous, yeah. Taulek, the last one alive. Sniper going to be a focus, but looks like they aren't even running for that right away from the FaZe side. Must have had another player in position to grab that.
I mean, he's just clearing all this space, right? So that leaves you to deduce, where are the players going to be coming from? Oh, yeah, I know exactly where. They'll be coming over toward the screen side. They'll be coming over toward mid as well. And these are just clean pickups that we're seeing from FaZe. That was just a beautiful run. Native Red had no other options, Dave. And he still got more OS.
Yeah, still got OS, and that's all due to Frosty getting 2 picks. You saw 2 snipe kills in the kill feed. That's a 3-0 hill lead. 4th hill popping up near the OS. This is looking like it's over.
Yeah, very much so. And it's unfortunate as well because I feel like there were some moments there for Native Red, but I mentioned at the start of the game, it's really just about that control, right? And even though the sniper rifle on this map, sniper can be quite deadly when you have your hands on the S7 here, it's also just about controlling that overshield because it pulls so much attention in that direction, and it really changes how the maps play from time to time. So this has just been clinical from FaZe. Even though Native Red got 2 overshields, it just didn't amount to anything.
Yeah, the first one got shut down entirely. The second one, it had its moments. They had some control of the area, but it really didn't result in the damage and kills they needed. Ultimately, you need to be able to push over, take over you need to take over those power positions, and you need to get those kills and control. It can't just be, hey, we're staying alive with this OS. We still have shreds of OS.
Dude, just even look at that there. Triple kill for Renegade, and while all that was going on, World 2 was just pulling players away from the hill and just adding more insult to injury. The last few seconds are going to be coming through, and that is a clean 4-0 for FaZe Clan as they managed to pick off Livefire, King of the Hill, in dominant fashion.
Yeah, dominant indeed. Looking at the kills across the board, FaZe Clan had 53 kills. Native Red had 37. Whew. Another stat line, Renegade had 21 kills, so about 55+% of what Native Red had, just on his own.
Yeah, that is quite scary. If you add some of the players on Native Red sets, take 2 of them together at any time, they still wouldn't amount to the number that Renegade was able to put up in that game, right? Just absolute domination across the board. And that is scary. That is so scary to have to play against if you're Native Red, because this was, by my deduction, the best opportunity that they had, and it was looking good for a minute there, until it wasn't anymore.
Yeah. One thing that we talked about on the desk, or the crew talked about on the desk earlier, was just saying, what about FaZe's objective efficiency?
Yeah.
Are they going to be able to be objective efficient enough to win these games? But the thing that's always going to stand is, if you just outslay them so badly, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Now, can they do that against every single team here? I hate to say it, possibly they can, but it's going to be really tough. So we're going to have to see when we get to a game that has similar slaying ability, how FaZe are being objective efficient if they are.
Yeah. And a lot of people are going to be keeping their eyes on that, figuring that Native Red was going to be one of the teams that could potentially push them to that degree, but instead, it's not going to be the case. Now we take our way over to Street Slayer. Can't speak English. It's hard. I'm reading a lot of things at the same time, so please. Okay, don't make fun of me, everyone. I'm sensitive. That being said, 1-0 advantage there coming out of SLC. So really, I mean, when you look at the stats overall, I mean, it's going to be a Slayer, right? This is really where Native Red got to get this one going, right? That speed you were talking about, Dave. They're going to need to put pedal to the metal and just try and bring it to FaZe. Problem is, if FaZe are hitting like that, it's going to be so challenging for them to do so.
It is going to be difficult indeed, and like we said, we need to see some sort of semblance of similar slaying ability here. And I felt like almost every engagement we saw there, it just felt like FaZe were outplaying them. Like the OS Shroud play.
Yeah.
That one just stuck out in my mind where it's like, you got the first OS, you have OS against a one-shot guy in a Shroud, and you aren't taking that person down quickly. Yeah,
those are unfortunate circumstances there, man, for sure. And I think it also is just gonna weigh on the minds of Native Red, because these guys, they scrim against the best of the best all the time. And in fact, coming into this event, their scrim results actually looking quite solid. They were taking games off of Optic, taking games off of even FaZe as well, right? And winning series and scrim series against those teams too. So it's not like Native Red are any slouches in this one, but there's just something different about the way the FaZe just approach land play when they're, just so dialed in. It's really difficult to kind of rattle this team, because they've been there. They've done that so many times.
Yeah, they're a team that you have to play some of your best Halo to have a chance to take down. And yeah, from what I've been seeing, FaZe, they're just playing strong, play well. And a lot of times we've seen FaZe really get those slower starts throughout the tournament, and then we see like a Sunday FaZe, like, oh my God, this team won the event because they're Sunday FaZe.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I would say more often than not, I would say out of the tournaments this year, I've seen FaZe start off slow on Fridays. We've seen them drop a pool play match here or there. We've seen them drop maps Right here, I'm seeing one of the strongest phases I've ever seen on a Friday based on just that one game that we're witnessing here on the main stage.
All right, well, let's jump right into this here as we get ready. Street Slayer. Off the break, it's World 2.
Who was shooting him?
Yeah.
There's no way that was the fastest death I've seen.
He click heads good.
Yeah. Impressive.
Even then, though, while all that's going on, SoulSnipe just gets a triple out of nowhere, and that's just going to keep them competitive in this one. So, yeah, you know, you give your credit where you can to, you know, players like World 2 hitting these wild shots, but Native Red very much in that, and that is what you're going to need more of, right? Players that just try and, like, pick up those clutch plays, but no, that is an unfortunate circumstance there. I'm pretty sure he would have liked to have been able to get the Mario Goomba stomp on his head, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, I thought that first melee was going to be enough. Assume that that player who was sprinting down the center of the map was already a little damaged. That's why he just only went for the one-shot melee. He's not going to waste all the time in the world to try to get 2 shots melee and not have no trust in his teammates to have 0 damage in that player, but just an unfortunate situation where he had to trade it out.
Slow start here for SnakeBite. Same thing that happened in map 1 as well. But of course, he had teammates that were just bailing him out, not even bailing him out, just helping him out, right? Because that's essentially what it's all about here, right? Being able to work together as a squad, and very few do it as well and as effectively as the captain does. So even though, you know, currently not the best of score lines in the early goings of this game, it doesn't really matter, because if everyone else is hitting, that's really, that's the most important part of this, right? And just look at this control, though, that we're seeing from Native Red. Really just forcing FaZe in the back of the tram and pushing, making them have to come out from the arcade side. So you would think that the Native Red guys would be prepared for that, but instead they're the ones that are turtling now.
Yeah, I mean, there's this interesting push and pull from this side where until Native Red get a stronger foothold over on the street side, they're in a very comfortable spot. Like, SoulSnipe cannot really overextend there towards Neon to lay shots on rail. There's just too many threats that someone can come over from benches and too many different angles. So it's kind of an uncomfortable spot when your team is stuck at tower, PD, and then you just only have Cafe/Neon. So they weren't entirely certain how to play that situation.
Yeah, but even then, though, they were able to get the Rockets off of that whole play, and it was purely just pick up and then dump them as fast as you possibly can. That being said, though, FaZe still going to be tucked away in the back of the base now. The push starting to come through. SoulSnipe's hitting this one, man. 10 frags for him currently. He's looking good thus far, and Taulek's finally going to join him with one of his own. We'll see if now with SnakeBite on the screen, like I mentioned before, a little slow start for him, but I'm not all that concerned when discussing SnakeBite and his performance at LAN events, because this man is just a monster.
Yeah, and look at this. FaZe right away taking over towards street side. They're meeting some resistance over at Neon, but makes quick work of SoulSnipe and Manny, and they're not stopping. As soon as they get 2 down, they want to see if they can stagger the spawns further. They go and check out Tram, but Native Red, such a smart play, they rotate on out towards B Street and get out of there. They no longer give up 2 extra deaths. Instead, they chose a direction, charged towards it, and they're going to fight their way out. Yeah, and this is really where you want to try and see if you can pick up as many of the kills as you possibly can, but instead it's going to be FaZe, right? They're coming up the uphill there. You know exactly where they are, but you saw all those pings coming in from FaZe. They were just waiting for the prime moment to go in for that push, clear those players, and they take that street control perfectly fine, as SnakeBite now just continues to patrol around here, and this is going to put more pressure now onto Native Red. Try and get this player out, but there's so much help there for SnakeBite. So much help, but then SoulSnipe every single time seems to find his way behind enemy lines, even against one of the best teams in the world here, FaZe. He's able to flank around, find a way to break through the defenses, and sneak in.
Ooh, SoulSnipe got a little overzealous there, ended up running into 2 players from FaZe in that fight, but I did like that he was able to just push him back as much as he possibly could. And I think Rockets were grabbed, not quite sure by whom though, as World 2 tries to just keep this one competitive for FaZe. A tied game currently. Credit where credit is due. Another Rocket grab here for Native Red. They were able to get a lot of value off of this last time, and it seems like this time it's exactly the same.
Great play, and that's the second triple we've seen from SoulSnipe. He's charging, and he gets the overkill extermination. That's a 4-kill lead, all thanks to SoulSnipe and an overkill. And he's not done yet either as he's pushing down the center. Look at this, continuing to stack those spawns. The SoulSnipe members all came alive. Frosty, Royal 2, and SnakeBite all taken down. Renegade, again, that is now an 8-kill lead.
Wow.
So 2 back-to-back perfect wipes there for Native Red.
SoulSnipe right now is having a life game, and he's playing unreal. 15 frags from him currently, and he's just continuing to add on to it. He's getting so much help as well, and he's been really good with those flanks that you had mentioned before, Dave. Like, there are moments where FaZe think they're going to be comfortable in holding this position. In comes a back whack from SoulSnipe to just try and get in their face again. And I think what also speaks volumes here is that Native Red are playing off of that very, very well. SoulSnipe opens up the floodgates for him, and then they try and just add as much as they can to it. This is exactly what Native Red needed to do. They had to get back in this series, and they're doing it here on Street Slayer.
And it feels like a very similar situation here again. All of FaZe, they got kills. They decided to collapse it on Tram, and Native Red were going to try to push their way out towards Driveway and B Street, but there was a blockade there this time. So unable to charge out towards B Street, so that rotation completely shut off by FaZe.
Oh, I love this play from World 2. He was debating, do I take the Bulldog over to the tires, or do I go and help my teammate out? Opted to help his teammate out, gets himself a double kill, 2 players down for Native Red, and that is just going to put more pressure, but it opened up the rockets for Renegade to grab it, which means that now you're going to see FaZe try and claw their way back into this game, because they're only going to be down by 4.
Yeah, he gets the damage to that rocket, takes out 1. And as long as he doesn't get those into Native Red's hands, he's going to be happy with that. Only a 3-kill difference now between Native Red and FaZe. Recall, when they had their setup, Native Red had an 8-kill lead. That is now just 3 measly kills. Could go either way as soon as one team gets a little bit of an opening.
Yeah, especially with the way that Frosty's playing a little snaky in the mid like that, just waiting for the opportunity to go for the push. He knows exactly where they're going to be as well. Taulek trying to force him off the position, but look at the FaZe guys.
Oh my God.
Just on the prowl, forcing the movement over to Frosty, and he gets himself some more value.
The part that was most impressive is the way he played around that gen. Just jumping, not up onto it, but just jumping so he'd get that slight little angle, get a burst off, and then drop down, and in time where he would not get finished. So just so smart in those little peeking angles.
Yeah.
A lot of times people are assuming he's jumping fully up on it or fully pushing out to the left, and finds a third option out of there.
All right, what is going to be the opening here, though, for FaZe to try and tie this one up? They've been getting close. You mentioned before, 8-kill lead, now down to a singular kill.
Well, recall in previous standoffs, when FaZe had control of B Street during the setup, this was a time where FaZe were coming out ahead and getting the kills. However, Royal 2 has been picked off. Is that going to be the opening that Native Red need to push on out? It looks like they're making moves across stairs and neon. Somehow hitting the shots through the shroud. Gets a double kill
Tied
there
game.
for Renegade.
Tied game, 46-46, 4 kills left for both squads here. And you have FaZe on a damn good side of the map because they have themselves a Stalker rifle now, which is going to be a lot of suppressing fire across. And ironically enough, this first target is going to be suppressed, who had to bail on out of there. New rockets are going to be up for grabs as well, so you got to keep eyes on that. And the Stalker rifle's job is to just make sure that no one can freely go in there and get that rocket with no damage taken.
And right there, there's
That's
2
her
shots
kill.
onto a player. Suppressed is also down. This is going to be the go time for FaZe. They realize they have the advantage they need, and that's going to be a player swooping in for Rockets. Renegade gets the double kill with the Rockets. 1 kill separating them from a 2-0 lead.
He's got nothing left in the tank, though. It's going to be 48-49. Renegade's not going to be going in for the fight. Suppress is going to tuck away inside. SoulSnipe, he's been hot all game. Surely it doesn't end like this. Only 1 kill's going to separate him. He's going to bring up Sauce, and he gives it to him. FaZe Clan managed to bring it back. 50-49. And you have to be heartbroken for Native Red. They were right there, Dave. Right there.
That is tough. I remember the last game that Native Red had at Salt Lake City. They had, I want to say, it was a 10+ kill lead against Optic in Game 5.
Gotta close
and I
those
remember
out.
SoulSnipe tweeting saying that was just unacceptable. You can't be dropping those games. This one, not quite the same. It's not the same as a Game 5, as your term life's on the line, but you do have an 8-kill lead against FaZe. You need to close those out. So well played by FaZe. They stuck to their game plan.
Yeah.
They continued to hold B Street when they had Tram set up, and then close it out.
For the last few seconds of that game, we can see from a few POVs, as we had mentioned before, right, the importance of getting that Stalker just to try and add that damage.
Also, just the way that this can go at any moment. So right here, the opening that FaZe looks for is they get a pick, and in addition to that, they get this damage on Taulek. That is enough for them to know that they have an advantage to move across the map. Renegade's gonna go grab those rockets. The other thing you'll pay attention to the end after Renegade gets these kills is he barely slips past SoulSnipe.
Yeah.
He did not know SoulSnipe was over in PD. This could have been a kill going out the way. Right here, SoulSnipe spawns
right
over
there
in PD. And if this was just 1 second difference where SoulSnipe looked the other way or didn't exit at that exact moment, Suppressed lives, and Native Red wins.
And honestly, I actually don't really even blame. I think that was Suppressed on that push because SoulSnipe spawned inside of PD. So you don't have the inclination that there is going to be someone in PD. You figure that they're going to be hanging around.
They knew it was
their
that tower.
teammate.
They're like, oh, he's got to be near tower
Yeah,
still
exactly.
or something like that. Where's he at?
He deliberately slid and looked the other way because he had the inclination he wasn't going to be there. Little did he know, he just snuck right through. Halo timing at its finest. That being said, though, that 50-49, that stings. That's a heartbreaker. As we get ready for this next game, we do have Native Red currently backs against the wall here, right? Down 2-0, but this came after Native Red nearly walked away with a Slayer Streets win, and yet FaZe, take me back a few years. FaZe have managed to squeak away that win. 1 kill separating the two of them.
1 kill indeed, and as we also saw in game 1, FaZe just outclassed Native Red in the objective game. King of the Hill on live fire. Is it going to transfer on over here to recharge strongholds? TBD. I mean, recharge strongholds, there's so many other hills to focus on, so many strongholds to focus on, that you're not going to have that singular point that everyone is gathering around.
Yeah.
I think that's going to make it a little faster. It's going to allow Native Red to take their own pace a little bit more, assuming they're not in a trip cap situation. So it's going to play significantly different, but at the end of the day, FaZe, they've just been ice here. They've been closing out the games. They've been calm the times they need to. They've been winning the individual battles.
Yep.
Outside of the amazing performance we saw from SoulSnipe.
I'm going to give you guys some copium, though, if you're a Native Red fan, okay? Coming into this one from HCS, Salt Lake City, 3-2 record on 3-1 record, on Strongholds for Native Red. On the other side, a 2-3. So
okay.
Bit of a negative there for FaZe. Now granted, the 2 Stronghold games that they lost, the Sentinels were just on fire that event. So that also could speak volumes to it as well. So we'll see if maybe there was something that Sentinels picked up that maybe Native Red could try and take advantage of here, because they need to if they want to try and reverse sweep the series.
And what an aggressive start. SoulSnipe just sliding on out, going straight for that camo, doing so much damage on C-Plat. That's going to be camo going in the hands of Manny. Now, are they going to transfer this into a stronghold cap? Looks like they're just going to trade A and C on out, and nobody going to be getting 8 points just yet.
Yep, not at all. Got the flip. We'll say, though, with this camo, you really want to see Manny just try and get in their face, but also, I like this, too, making some call-outs. You've identified 2 players. You know the one's going to be tucked away over toward A, so just go ahead and get to work. Beautiful nade as well on the Royal, too, though, but that is only going to balance things 3-3 with the players left alive.
But such a good read in that situation, knowing his teammate was pushing him from glass. The only escape was going to be jumping on up towards the bat ledge, and that area was denied by Manny.
Oh, and beautifully done there by Royal, too, because once Manny saw the 3 players down, the call was made, go, jump on B, but the spawn was coming in from tower. Royal 2 was prepared for it, knew exactly where he wanted to go, laid a grenade right in its place, and that just leads to, well, more control for FaZe. Now, though, as I'm saying that, you're starting to see Native Red get back into this one, but Royal 2 picking up 2 big kills on the other side of the map. It's going to create an opportunity here for C control, and then they'll try and work from there.
Yeah, it looks like they're actually going to go for a trip cap here for a moment, grabbing B as well. Pressure's going to be on elevator. Do they just pick them off as they push on out? It looks like Royal 2 decides to push right in. Somehow not spotted. Did not expect someone to come all the way across from Catwalk.
And that also was just great nade placement there as well. He knew those players, as soon as the pickup was going to happen, that they were going to charge over on the right side. Not necessarily jump down, but he placed that grenade there to do as much damage as he can. It's those small, minute details that have really just changed how these players have approached the game, and it separates the good from the great, honestly. And this is where I think FaZe are just going to continue to find more and more success here, just off of these small plays that they're making and not overextending on those opportunities that they have. They're just playing their advantages so well.
Yeah, just playing every situation so incredibly well. Not able to turn that trip cap just yet, but looks like Renegade's there to finish it off.
World 2 wasn't there to back him up.
Though. Yeah, Slay's going out. They gave up a trip cap for 3 lives. We're going to have to see how long they hold on to 2 of them, and it looks like B and C instantly converted. So you have to argue that FaZe maybe overextended there.
Ooh, good stick on the Frosty, and it's actually going to leave Frosty still alive. So that's a weakened player who's still going to be in the fight, and actually a weakened native red player is going to go to challenge Frosty. Oh, that hurts. That stings, but that is going to lead to more success here for FaZe as they're going to look to control B side, and the spawns are now happening towards C and Tower.
Enemy team score.
Feels like any single time that FaZe are getting a few of the slays, they are doing such a good job just securing the strongholds they need and then holding off. I feel like they overextend that one time going for B, but beyond that, they've been able to play it like nice and slow.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, they're starting to put native red into a position where they almost forcefully have to go for trip cap at some point this game. And that's not just because they're down by 80 points, it's because you can't fully expect to hold off FaZe in a 2-cap setup for so long.
No, you cannot at all. The communication clearly has been superb for FaZe. Let's actually jump into a listen-in with FaZe and hear how they're getting along in map 3.
I don't have it yet, PJ. I'm getting it now. I have it now.
John, I'm here. John,
One's glass.
Yeah, I hear you.
Top yard. I hit it. Top glass. Yep, you still have me, guys?
One shot. Nice. 3 dead.
15. Nice. Let's get B.
He's R2 1 hit. Nice fucking job, PJ. Nice fucking job.
Came on 10 guys.
Who's playing this?
Guys,
Guys, I'm not capping it. I'm not capping it.
Grapple's not up.
John, you. Are we playing for camo?
Yeah. PG, can we go long for this camo?
Yeah.
Matt, they're going
We
to
see pot. He's one back blue. One shot, C7.
Oh my god!
One in
Right, I'm going camo.
Yeah.
One C pot on me.
AK.
Triple C-steps on me. I'm ready to camo.
One can C7.
AK, one shot.
I got your back. You dead. Over.
Top of your one shot.
Yeah, I'm just
I'm gonna get shot.
3 on 3 right now.
One in BR and they're in A, guys.
Maybe. Top A.
Okay, you're solid, you're solid.
So one's Goldor to Mingler.
Enemy
What's up, man?
Bottom A weak. He's making steps weak. He's weak on me.
Two in, man.
Half up on me. Half up on me.
There's two.
Back up, John.
I spawned out long.
Yeah, wait for each other. Let's make
I'm
guys.
watching your pipes. I'm watching your pipes.
Yo, can we waterfall?
Yeah.
Shock is up.
Oh, let me shoot. What's up here right now?
Yo, one's turban. Watch out. Don't.
We waterfall?
No. There's two.
What's up here? I need
Yo, I got one CQ, guys. I got one CQ.
We should go see, man. You should
John on BR, guys. Two dead. Yeah, just run mid map. I have a kill. Just go see. We're going A.
Great calls there from FaZe Clan, and you can hear the emphasis on what they were trying to put their focus on and who they were trying to isolate and really try and punish. And it's been working out for them. Even though throughout that listening, they were not in control of 2 of those strongholds, they were setting up for this right here.
Yeah, it's not just the emphasis, it's they're such a stoic team that I rarely hear the excitement of them when they get one of those outplays. Like a lot of times it's just routine for them. They hit triple kill and they're like, all right, they're spawning over here in tower or whatever. Instead, like, I'm hearing some life, some excitement. I couldn't tell, like, when that out BR happened, if that came out from Royal One, their coach, or if it's from one of their players, but it's interesting to hear them get so into this. And I'm not sure what that mindset shift is going into here on Friday, because like I said, they tend to go for that more stoic, consistent communication.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That has been a thing. It's been the bread and butter of FaZe, Tox, CLG Optic. Like these players we've been following for such a long time, no matter who the fourth is, that you kind of have that more relaxed nature about it, and it's really not even reflected in their gameplay too, because they play like absolute madmen, and that is what's happening here as well. Alien challenge, but it doesn't work out. SoulSnipe gets the better of him, and I was actually going to mention SoulSnipe as well, because when we went into that listening, he only had 1 kill and I think like 10 deaths, but you have to think for SoulSnipe, that would have to be a little demoralizing, especially after the last map you just popped off and you were playing so damn well. So it's great to see him right back into this one again, because they're certainly going to need him. 3 strongholds held. It's a trip cap.
Yeah, we've been looking for that from Native Red. Looks like FaZe are breaking on through as they're taking over towards B. They challenged over towards Elevator, but at least a few more points on the board. The problem is, though, FaZe only 33 points away. That's double cap territory. And once they get that double cap, they just need to get 1 stop. They need to get 1 round of slays or so, and that game is over.
But given how this game was going, Dave, I have to say I'm kind of impressed with Native, because they have really been just trying to claw their way back into this game, and they've done so to a certain extent. They still got a long way to go, but compared to where they were before and where FaZe was before the listening, I think it was like 30 to 100 plus. This is actually quite impressive. They're trying to bring this one back.
Yeah, it's much easier pill to swallow in a situation like that, because you're not going in and saying, we got stomped, what could we have done different? Instead, they're saying, hey, you know what? Those first 5 minutes of the game, we did get rocked. But if we played the last part of the game the entire way, could have been theirs.
That's right. Indeed, indeed. Frosty off the spawn is going to be on the A side of the map, but actually I just saw a native player spawn right behind him, so this could actually be huge here. Renegade's got to get this kill, and he does not. He does get the kill. He gets the trade, and they aren't able to get the flip just yet, though, but Frosty's now going to be on the prowl, and he's got eyes on him. He got the reset, and that could very well be the final nail in the coffin of the series.
Yeah, and you know Suppress was probably even prematurely calling out, saying, don't worry, I got A, I'm going to trade out this kill. And Frosty just slipping behind it.
Wait a minute.
We do have BC going for native red, so this is still not over, but it is just a tall order to ask native red to heavily outslay and keep control for the rest of this game.
Yeah. It's not over, but it's going to be pretty difficult. We'll see if they're able to pull this off. Yet another camo grab as well for FaZe, which you cannot stress enough. Just their efficiency on power item control has been stupendous this series, preventing native red from being able to get a good chunk of the control on the map with those power items. And even this one right here, he's just waiting, biding his time. He's got to win this fight, though, against Taulek, and he does not. Taulek's able to get the kill there, but they are not able to flip B quite yet, and that's still more points being added for FaZe.
I was going to say that one would be so enticing to jump in for, but that reset happens. I believe it is Renegade who reset B, Frosty grabbing C, and it's just back to defense here for FaZe. Even though it's defense mode, looks like Frosty's positioned himself to do either. He hears the footsteps below, challenges body control, and just buying time, wasting as much time as possible against Suppressed, and also winning the fight.
And that is pretty much going to do it unless native red has something else to say about it. They try and flip over B, but A is going to go straight over to FaZe, and with only 2 points left, that's going to be a GG. FaZe Clan get the 3-0 sweep on native red. We could have been going to a map 4 days. We could have been, but instead, FaZe, they brought the broomsticks out. Well played from FaZe. And this is also looking like a team that's going to be very scary. Oh, man, I can't wait for Space Station, FaZe, Optic. I can't wait for all these teams to clash against one another because everyone's hitting right now.
Yeah, FaZe looking really good. I would say even, SoulSnipe. Like you said, had a slow game 3, but that game 2, he was so dominant. So I didn't feel like they went against a cold native red. They went against a strong native red right there, and I still stand by my statement. I feel like FaZe were looking really good and much better than they have on many of their Fridays so far this season.
Let's not forget, we're talking about native freaking red, a team that hasn't placed out of the top 8 thus far this year, just continues to look great. And even though they're still going to be building up some things as it is right now with Suppress coming into the lineup, FaZe took it to them. And they were able to bring it back on one of those close games and not give up anything. So that is just a great start for FaZe Clan. If you're a fan of them, which they have many, you'd be quite happy to see Frosty 27 kills total. It's kind of hard to win the game when you got a guy who's popping off like that.
Yeah, it's that slaying category again. 72 kills for FaZe, 48 kills for native red. You don't have much objective efficiency you can do there. You can't overcome that many kills. And when you have close players in FaZe, just so many people can go off it so many times. Oh my god, 5,700 damage there for Frosty. 5,700. But I mean, it's like, you saw in game number 1, Renegade dropping that 21 kills, having more than 50% of the kills that native red had combined. Game number 3, that was Frosty's turn then. In game 3. So it's just, it's not going to be the same play every single time, but when you have so many superstars on one roster, every single game, somebody has the opportunity to go off.
That's a tough one, right? Like, you're talking about a FaZe team that when one piece of it isn't doing all that hot, which, by the way, all that hot is probably the best you'd ever seen for some players, you have players picking up the slack on the other side. An incredible game across the board for FaZe Clan, but that's going to do it for myself and Walshy. I believe we have the legendary Guy Blaze standing by with Renegade. What you got, buddy?